Hey guys, it's Aaron. A lot of you have been asking for a series on layout, and I haven't got right to it. And I'll be honest with you why. I wanted to make sure that we could set it up in a way that uh, would be useful to people just coming by and watching. Series videos don't do very well where one has to do, you have to watch part one, then part two, then part three, where they build on each other because it's hard sometimes when you get 8 parts in. It's hard to go back and watch all 8, so people are less excited. So I wanted to be smart about this and kind of break it down into bite-sized pieces that could stand on their own. So with that, we're going to start this series of Let's Talk Layout. We're going to start today by looking at the user interface and see how layout is laid out. Yeah, that was a good one. And how we can begin using it. So let's do that right now. Okay, so here I am inside of layout. So obviously the main part of the screen is taken up by this page. I started a document. Well, actually, maybe the next one will be how to create a document from scratch, but we're just going to take a look at this existing document right now. So this is my page. So here I have this part that I'm in select, but I can't pick it. This is actually my page. This moves around on here just like it does in SketchUp. If I roll up and down on my middle mouse, I'll zoom in and out. If I click and hold the middle mouse button, the scroll wheel, I can actually pan. So if I'm in here real far, I can click. This is not moving something. This is actually panning my whole page, just like in SketchUp. SketchUp you orbit, obviously, but in layout, we're in 2D, so we're not going to orbit so much as just pan. I do have scroll bars on the side too, so I could actually use those to move in and out, as well as in the lower right corner, a zoom. So if I want to see what 100% zoom looks like, I can click that, and there we go. All right, so let's talk a little more about that page. So you can see I have what looks like a letter size page, and it actually is letter size, and I have some grid on there. This can be picked from a template when you first start. Again, like I said, next video will be starting a new drawing, but once you're in here, you can actually make changes to that. If I come up here to File and I hit Document Setup, I can change the information about this page. So let's look at a couple things here. I'm going to look at the grid first. So a lot of people get hung up on this grid, seeing it, using it, setting it up, that sort of thing. It's really pretty simple. Here under grid, I can toggle show the grid on and off. I have the option of using lines or points. I can also set up a major or minor grid. So right here I have a major grid of 1 inch. So this is 11 boxes by 8.5 boxes because it's 8.5 by 11. And I have each of those grid pieces broken down into 4. So each of those 4 inside that. So actually you can't see a full grid. You see a half of one right here, but that's 4 by 4. I have the options to print the grid, clip the grid to the page margins. So that's these white spaces around here are the margins, or draw the grid on top, which will actually place it over top of my drawing. So it is one of the things that happens is once I get a drawing on there, I can't see that grid. If that's an issue for you, you can draw it on top. The other things I want to look at in here, we'll come into here throughout the series, but I want to look at paper. This is pretty simple, but some people have struggled with finding where this is. This is my paper size. So mine is 8.5 by 11, which is standard letter paper in the US. There are templates for A4, A3, and there's a whole bunch of them. I also have the ability to set my margins. Like I said, that's this white space. So right now I have a 1/2 inch around the whole thing, but I can actually change that if I want to. That's indicated by this little light blue line. So you saw when I turned my grid off, I still got this line. That's my margin line. These lines, whether they be grid or their margin lines, don't actually come out in the print unless you tell it to do that. So if I do want to print my margin lines, I can turn that on and they'll show up on the print. Otherwise, they stay off. All right, so here's probably the most important thing in these page setups is rendering resolution. How is this going to render the page to the screen, and how is it going to render the page to the printer? That's my own terminology. Display resolution, I'm going to set that to low. Low is going to give me the quickest render on the screen, whereas my output resolution I'm going to set to high. This is going to give me the highest output whether I do a digital output or to printer, it's going to give me the best resolution for output. So you do want to make sure, I believe when this first installs, they're both set to medium. You want to come in here, set it to low and high. The final thing is units. So this is the units I want to use in here, fractional or decimal, inches, feet, millimeter. You can read all those things. So I'm going to keep mine to fractional inches and set it to maybe 1/16 of an inch. This is page scale. This is not in scale of the drawing. All right, let's go ahead and close that. All right, so continuing our walkthrough, at the top I have my toolbar. These are all of the tools that we will use inside of LayOut. So here I have a drawing tool, arc tool, some shape tools, an offset tool, text, a label, dimensions, table, and then we have some options for editing these, which is our, well, eraser, but then we can have a style picker, split, and join. We'll go into these in a further piece. Right now I just want to kind of finish this walkthrough. We have some other buttons here at the top. The first one right here is my presentation mode, where I can actually go through and use LayOut kind of like a slideshow and go through the pages. And then my page control buttons, add a new page and flip between pages. So left and right, and go between two different pages. The bulk of what we use inside LayOut is in our toolbars right here. So I'm going to do a super high level buzz through these. The first one is my SketchUp model. This is all the information about this viewport right here, which is a SketchUp viewport. This is different from text or drawing a shape or anything like that. This has a whole lot of data in here. You can see in here, we have all kinds of options here about what is being shown, what the camera's like, if there's effects, shadow or fog, what style is being used, which tags are showing. All of that is controlled in the viewport inside here. So we could actually probably spend an entire time just on this one, but not right now. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Look at a couple other pieces. One is layers. So in layers, we have a bunch of different layers. I can actually create multiple layers, and they are actually layers. So on every page right here, if I toggle that on and off, oh, you see that text disappears? That's on the on every page layer, and it's on top of our default, which is where the drawing of the chair is. If I was to take that and drag it underneath default, look what happens. It disappears because this layer has white there and it's covering up that text. So layers do work like layers where one lays on top of another. And in here I can lock and turn on and off layers. I have some options for dimensions. Again, once we get in some dimensions here, we can see, well, this will actually let us change how our dimensions look on the screen. There's an option here for scale drawing, which is something that's 2 versions back now, which is actually let me go in and draw at scale in LayOut. I have my pattern fill. So if I do have shapes, I can go in and put patterns. So if I want to do fill like rock or insulation inside of a model, I can do that. And then scrapbooks. Scrapbooks are awesome. This is pre-created geometry that I can just drag in and drop right onto a model, or I'm sorry, into a window. I can show it on my drawing screen. They're awesome. These are huge time savers. We'll dig deep into scrapbooks and see what great time savers they are for you. 2 pages left, or 2 panels left. We have shape and style. When something is selected, anything is selected, I can change how it's displayed using shape style. So this, in the case of a drawing like this, it's that stroke around the outside, this line, this black line. If I want to turn it off, I could just toggle stroke off, it disappears. I could turn it back on, change the color if I wanted to. Everything is controlled from this shape and style. And finally, pages. So you saw before, we have 2 different pages here, and click through those 2 pages. This is the UI that's going to let me go through the pages. So if I don't want to use just these 2 buttons at the top to go through a bunch of pages, I can actually do it here too. But this is also going to let me add new pages or duplicate pages to create my layout drawing. Okay, so like I said, that was basically intended to be an overview, and that's really all I wanted to do, is just show you where the things are. That's going to be important to get into that before you have to actually start creating a document. You have to know where the tools are before you can use them. So next time we'll come in and we'll actually start working. Like I said, maybe the next thing we'll do is creating a new document in LayOut. If you like that, go ahead and click like down below. That way I know that this is a series that we should be doing and you guys want to see more. So click like. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We create a couple videos a week, skill builders, this series, some live models, and you'll be notified of those if you subscribe to us. Most importantly though, please leave us a comment. This whole series is only being created because people left in the comments notes that they would like to see more layout in our videos. We like making these videos a lot, but we like them even more when they're showing something you want to see. Thank you.